I had a client that had very low-level, low-tech semiconductor wafers, and originally had said that they were selling them to a friend in Russia who was going to use them for something that he never really could specify, but as it turned out later, after he got arrested, the government determined that those wafers were actually going to a Russian defense contractor. So even though the items were EAR 99, they were going to a bad end user, and the purpose was to manufacture explosive devices. So obviously that would have required a license, which he never would have gotten. He got arrested, so bad things happen when you don't do your homework. And so that's just one example. I mean, there are plenty of others that I'm sure Jerry and I could tell you about mistakes that have happened. But the good news is there's actually opportunities for companies to self-report and to essentially go into the Office of Export Enforcement, which is the enforcement arm of Bureau of Industry and Security, to mitigate or completely avoid penalties and sanctions. And so you would look at Part 764 that speaks to voluntary self-disclosures, and it will tell you specifically what information is required in order to submit a voluntary self-disclosure. And what I always counsel people when they're going in with a voluntary self-disclosure is to make sure that they've actually captured the universe of errors that have happened during the statute of limitations or the 5-year period. You know, if a company has made mistakes in the last year and they decide that they're only going to disclose on a set of transactions that are more recent, they really risk having potential penalties happen for situations or scenarios that they should have covered but they failed to, because the Office of Export Enforcement has to then investigate and see whether or not the voluntary self-disclosure is complete. And it is voluntary. It's not legally required. It is strongly encouraged. And I would say the vast majority of disclosing parties end up with no action or a warning letter. Certainly, penalties are rare. They do happen, but it's in probably less than 3% of the cases. And so I highly recommend the importance of obtaining your export history through the Automated Commercial Interface, ACE, and getting access to your export history so that you can do your own monitoring of potential mistakes or errors that have occurred. And, you know, if you need to correct things from time to time, a voluntary self-disclosure is one of the methods in which you can do that.